Hello everyone, it's me yet again, Goomba here, and today I'm bringing you yet another tutorial for the Picon custom server. This time around is going to be for PS3 or PlayStation 3, and yes, aside from the emulator, which is RPCS3, you can also connect to the Picon custom server on the PlayStation 3 itself, which is the original platform that LittleBigPlanet series have been on since the beginning. Okay, so yes, today I'm gonna show you that, and there's going to be a few steps as with the previous tutorial on RPCS3, but this time it's going to require you a few different things. One, the most important, obviously you need to have a PlayStation 3. Any PlayStation 3 will suffice. As you can see, mine is PlayStation 3 Super Slim. It's only capable of running PlayStation 3 HAN, but I'll explain what HAN is in a second, as you're going to require it. And yeah, pretty much the second thing is you will have to have a jailbroken PS3. My tutorial is going to provide steps how to mod your PS3 if you haven't done it already. And in order to mod or jailbreak your PlayStation 3, you're going to need a thumb drive. Any kind of thumb drive will suffice, even a 2 GB, even as low as 2 GB storage thumb drive will suffice. Mine, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to be using a 16 GB thumb drive. So it's more than enough for what you're going to need for this tutorial. And you're obviously going to need a copy of a game, any LittleBigPlanet on PS3, aside from obviously a carding because it doesn't support the custom servers. It doesn't have to be a disc. I just happen to have a disc version of, say for example, LittleBigPlanet 2, which is what I'm going to be using for this tutorial. And yeah, let's just get right on it. So first things first, what you're going to need is PlayStation 3 obviously, and you're going to need to mod your jailbreak your PS3. But before we do that, we will have to take certain steps, because we obviously also need to have a PlayStation Network account, because it's going to still use your official account to connect to the servers, albeit not the official one, but the custom one. And for this, you have to take extra steps to make sure that you are safe to play the custom servers. And I'm going to give you a big disclaimer. I am not taking any responsibility for your PlayStation 3. When you jailbreak it, you are technically breaking the Sony's terms of servers, and if they somehow detect that you're using a jailbroken PlayStation 3 or modded PlayStation 3 on their network, they will get your account bound, or worse yet, your console bound altogether. So please keep that in mind. I will provide steps to how to avoid that, and it's relatively easy. You don't really need to worry about much, but just for the sake of safe precaution, you have to keep in mind that such risk is there, and you have to make sure that you avoid doing certain things that I will show you in the video later on. So in order to prepare your PlayStation 3 so you'll be safe in using the Picon custom server, you will have to go into your PS3. I'm just gonna turn it on right now. So I am booted on my PS3. As you can see, my PS3 is already modded, but you can ignore this part for now. I'm just going to show you what exactly do you need to make sure to be prepared and make sure that it doesn't accidentally happen. And what must not happen accidentally is the PlayStation Network account to be automatically signed in. So basically, there's a possibility if you log onto your account on your PS3, there's an option to automatically sign in with your PlayStation Network account. You will have to make sure, for the sake of this setup, to make sure that you do not have automatic PlayStation Network sign in. If you do have that, let's just assume that I automatically signed into the PlayStation Network account. So in case if that happens, if you're already signed in, you're going to have to hit triangle on your account management, then press sign out, and then once you have this icon sign in, you have to make sure that this option sign in automatically is disabled. By default you may have it on, you might want to make sure that it is unticked, so that way you will make sure that your PlayStation Network account will not automatically log in, which is going to be very important later on. So once that you have that, we're gonna have to move on to jailbreaking your PS3. So you're going to need, as I already pointed out, a thumb drive for this, and we're going to need to move on to a PC in order to get our thumb drive ready with our jailbroken software, so we can actually jailbreak our PS3. So let's just move on to the PC. So now we're on PC, and depending on which model your PlayStation 3 is, you can use, if you have a fat version, like the original version of PlayStation 3, or a specific slim model that is compatible, you can use custom firmware or CFW in short. If it is compatible, I recommend to use that. I'm not gonna provide the tutorial here, but I'm going to link the tutorial for how to set up your PlayStation 3 with custom firmware down in the description as well. In this tutorial though, we're going to focus on using hybrid firmware or PS3 hand, which is compatible with all PS3 models, even Super Slim. So in case if you want to do it the easy way, or if you want to use the same setup as mine, or if you just simply have PlayStation 3 Super Slim model and you don't really have any other choice, then well, this tutorial will be for you then. So open up the browser and paste the link for the PS3 hand download. I'm gonna put the link down in the description. So once you visit this page, you're going to need to click this download link. It's gonna link you to the mega.nz download, and download the zip file for the hardware firmware that we're going to install. As you can see, I already have it downloaded, so I'm just going to quickly cancel this. Once you have it downloaded, you're going to need to extract the downloaded zip file. You can drag and drop it with the right click. If you have it on a zip, I recommend you to have it installed to unpack the zip files, and you're going to need to extract it, say for example in a folder. So this is going to extract the zip contents that we're going to need, and we are going to need this folder right here, PS3 update, and this is the update that we're going to need. So now moving on to the thumb drive, we obviously need to insert it onto our PC. The next thing that we need to do is to make sure that your thumb drive is formatted into FAT32 file system. If you want to see which file format your thumb drive formatted to, you just simply right click your thumb drive and then hit properties, and it's going to show up right here that the system file is FAT32. If for whatever reason you have a different file format, for example exFAT or NTFS, well, this isn't going to work because PS3 is not compatible with these formats, so you're going to need to format it to FAT32. The easiest way to do that on Windows is to just simply right click the thumb drive, and you're gonna have to click the format, and then you want to make sure that the selected file system is FAT32. In some cases it might say it's the default one. You will click start and hit OK to start the formatting. Obviously before formatting, I highly recommend you back up everything from the thumb drive that you need, because it's going to otherwise wipe out the entire contents of your thumb drive. Once the thumb drive is formatted, you can drag and drop the PS3 folder from the folder that you've just unpacked. You drag and drop it to the thumb drive. It's going to copy the entire folder with the hybrid firmware within it as well. This is important that you will have to have PS3 folder in the root location of your thumb drive, and then inside it there has to be update all in caps. This is also important, and then once you click again, you're going to need to have PS3 app.pop file, which is the hybrid firmware, and it also needs to be all in caps. That is also important. So once that you have the hybrid firmware in your thumb drive, you can safely eject your thumb drive and then move on to our PS3 to continue the jailbreak process. Okay, so now that we are back at our PlayStation 3, we are going to need that prepared thumb drive that we just prepared on our PC to plug it in to our PS3. So we're just going to do it right now. Here it is, it's in, and from there on, once that you have USB on, properly formatted with the hybrid firmware uploaded, you're going to need to head over to your settings and check system update, and then you're going to need to use the option update via storage media. It's going to scan the system update. Well, now obviously since I already have the hybrid firmware installed, it's going to say that there's no applicable update data found. But in your case, if you haven't have the jailbroken PS3 already, it's going to say that there's an update available, in which case you're going to have to click X and proceed through the whole usual PS3 update procedure, and it's eventually going to restart your PS3, and with this you will have half of the process of the PS3 jailbroken done. So I'm just gonna skip through that. So now that you have the hybrid firmware installed, you're going to need to hover over to network and then internet browser, hit X, and there's a few things that we'll need to do first before moving on to the second part of installing our PS3 hand. Once we have our browser opened, we hit triangle to get on the tools. We're going to need to make sure that we have confirm browser close disabled, set to off. This way, all the further procedure of jailbreaking your PS3 is going to go further without any of the interruptions. Then we go to tools, and then we go to home page, and preferably we will need to make sure that we use the blank page, and then we hit OK. Now the second thing is that we need to make sure that we have our browser as clean as possible. We can use tools, and we can go to tools and we make sure that we delete all kinds of browser info. So you want to make sure you delete cookies, then you want to make sure that you delete search history. Yes, we also need to make sure we delete cache, and we delete authentication information, so that way you have as clean browser as you can. So now that you have that, we're going to need to hit start to visit a web page, and we're going to have to enter ps3exploit.com. However, from my experience, sometimes this website doesn't actually work on PS3, so instead I write ps3exploit.me instead. Well, basically ps3exploit.com does redirect eventually to this website anyway, so I guess this is kind of the way to like get to this website directly. So you have to like write in ps3exploit.me, you hit start, you hit start again, and it's going to direct you to this page right here. And on the top you have this this menu right here, and you're gonna have to hover over to PS3 and then hand installer enabler. You're gonna have to click that. It's going to move you to this page. It's going to download this automatically for you. Once it's downloaded, then you can press this button to initialize hand installer. And once you press that, you do not do anything. You just make sure that it installs. Eventually, from what I recall, it's going to restart your PlayStation 3 console. And once it does do that, and once you boot up back at your PS3, it's going to show you this option right here, which is enable HAN. If you have that, well then congratulations, you have successfully installed PlayStation 3 HAN. So now we're moving on to patching LittleBigPlanet to connect to the Beacon server. We need to enable our HAN first, so we click X on enable HAN. As you can see, PS3 HAN is enabled. It does show up so on the top right corner, and you're going to need to enable FTP or file transfer protocol on your PlayStation 3. Now that your PS3 is jailbroken, you can easily do that either by visiting MMCM, just simply opening will do the trick, or you can hit webman mode. This will show up, and once you press X, it's going to restart your PS3's menu, but in that way you're also going to enable FTP access, and you're going to be able to then connect to your console and transfer your files, because we're going to need to do that for the next step. So either do that or go to MMCM, and once you have MMCM open, the FTP access will be open as well, so long as you have this application open on your PS3. So we're going to use the MMCM option, so we're just going to boot right into MMCM. So once we get on MMCM, we also need to know what is the IP address of our PS3 console. So within MMCM, we can hover over to settings and press X on system information, and this shows up our IP address of a PS3 console. Yeah, we're going to need this IP address that starts off usually with 129.168.0 or .1. Whatever, right? Write the IP address down anywhere, you're going to need that. So now once that we know the IP address and once that we have MMCM booted up, we can quickly move on to PC to continue the rest. So now we're back again on our PC, so now you're going to have to visit the browser yet again, copy yet another link down in the description for the GitHub page of the UnionPatcher. This is the utility that will allow you to patch your game using the FTP functionality of your PS3. and we're going to need to download the appropriate zip file according to your operating system. In my case it's Windows, so we're going to download the UnionPatcher.win-x64.zip, and once that we download it, we're going to need to extract it as usual. We will extract this publish folder right here, open up the folder, and we're going to need to open up this .exe file, or the file which has the LBP3 icon right here if you don't have the file extensions shown up on your Windows. So you click that, this window should show up. It says welcome to UnionPatcher, and we can use the remote patcher option to connect to our PS3 remotely. So first things first, we're gonna need to insert our IP address of our PS3, which is the one that I've shown to you already. So in my case is 192.168.0.64. For the next field, server URL, we're going to insert the URL of the Beacon custom server that we will connect to on our PS3. So this is going to be put once again in the description down below. So I'm gonna paste it right here. Very important stuff, you have to make sure that the server URL begins with HTTP and not HTTPS, otherwise it just won't work because LittleBigPlanet checks for the certificate. That is very specific for the official server that the Lighthouse does not have, so you have to use the HTTP instead. Title ID, and now this is the title ID of your game that you want to patch. When it comes to the disk version of the game, you can easily check your title ID on your box. In my case is BCES 00850, and you're going to leave FTP username and FTP password by default. Otherwise, if you have a digital copy of the game, there's also another way to finding out what is the title ID of your LittleBigPlanet copy. Since we already have MMCM enabled, and since FTP is enabled, we can use any of the FTP clients, for example FileZilla. So we're going to open that one right now. And right here we got FileZilla open. In the server field, we're going to insert our IP address of the PS3, and then we leave username and password default, and then we do quick connect. And on the right side, we can see the contents of our PS3 drive. So now we're going to open up dev_hdd0. This is our drive, and now we get onto the game. Yeah, now that you're going to see the contents of your game data, basically. Game have the BCES or BCUS depending on the region, and 5 digits. And when it comes to LittleBigPlanet, usually the game data of your profile ends with _user. And if you have multiple accounts such as I do, then you're gonna need to identify the user by, for example, the icon. So you can double check the icon by dragging and dropping it to the desktop and see, for example, that this is indeed my profile right here. And once you have it identified, you can write down the game ID, which is right here. So BCES and 5 digits afterwards. So you basically have to write down this into the UnionPatcher. And you're going to need to click patch. So we click patch. It's going to briefly bring up a command line windows for split seconds, and it's going to show us the success. So the server URL for BCES 5 digits on the PS3 at the IP address of my PS3 has been patched to this address that we have provided inside the remote patch window. So in case if other window shows up with the error, well, first things first, we have to make sure that the FTP is enabled by either opening up the MMCM application or by installing Webman mod. Also, you have to double check if your PS3 IP address is correct, and preferably set up your PS3 address to be static and not use the HTTP. This way it doesn't automatically change the IP address of your PS3. But yeah, otherwise you have to make sure that the FTP is on, and this remote patch will work. So now that you have your game patched, you can safely exit out of the window and close this folder. And now you're pretty much ready to go. You can now head back to your PS3 and boot up the game. So we're back once again at our PS3. Since we have launched MMCM, we are currently on the MMCM screen. We can now leave MMCM by holding PS button on our controller and pressing quit game. We confirm that we want to quit game, and we should hopefully return back to our XMB menu, which we have. And since we already have an hand enabled, well, it doesn't really show up, the icon doesn't really show up anymore. That's usually a sign that the PS3 hand is enabled. But in case if you like PS3 software reboots or whatever, just suddenly reboots, you hear the 3 beeps and your PS3 reboots again. You just have to make sure that you have to have your PS3 hand enabled before you do any of those steps forward. So now that I already have PS3 hand enabled, and now that we have our game patched, I'm just gonna insert my disk real quick. So the LBP disk shows up on the XMB. Here it is. And before you enter LittleBigPlanet, you're obviously going to need to sign into the PlayStation Network. So there's the part now that it comes that you have to like sign into the PSN. That's also why we want to make sure that you have like your auto sign-in disabled, so we avoid the process of like accidentally signing in before you actually enable a PS3 hand. Before we actually sign into the PSN, I absolutely and totally recommend you to clear your Syscalls. The way you do that is by holding R2 on the controller and then holding triangle. As you can see, well, the PS3 beeps, as you can hear, and it shows up on the upper right corner that the CFW Syscalls have been cleared up. And once you do that, you are pretty much safe to sign in to the PSN. Personally, I use a secondary PSN account as a extra additional like safety precaution in case if Sony detects that I'm using a custom firmware and Sony comes in with a ban hammer and bans my account. So it's just as a safety precaution. My primary account is safe, and I can use I use the secondary account just in case if that happens. Only my secondary account gets banned and not my primary. So we have successfully signed into the PSN and have our PS3 hand enabled with the Syscalls cleared, and now we can go ahead and boot up LittleBigPlanet. And you want to make sure that every time you boot into the PS3 you do these exact steps. You enable PS3 hand first from the icon, which like currently doesn't show up, then you clear Syscalls with the button combination that I've already showed you, and then you sign into the PS3, and then you boot up into the game. So now we're going to boot up into LittleBigPlanet just to prove you that the patch is indeed working. And if your game has been patched correctly, you are signed into PS3 with obviously Syscalls cleared, so you don't get caught, so you avoid any kind of like automatic detection from Sony servers. And if you have patched the game correctly, it should load up the loading screen, and after this you're going to see the connecting to LittleBigPlanet 2 online screen. And well, before the announcement screen, you're going to see the EULA. You just, as with the case of RPC3, you hit accept, and then you click OK on the announcements, and you should boot right into the game, and you should see your pod. And soon after, like once you get on the top, well, this information shows up because I have imported my profile and my profiles are locked up. But here we are, community tab. We have team picks, and we can browse all of the beacon levels. And pretty much, since it is a PS3 and you have like the biggest compatibility with the game, and you can like easily go into friends. Well, currently I don't have any friends online at the moment, but just like in the official servers, you can like easily join friends. Just like in the official servers, you can go and visit your profile. Recent activity is still not working. There is an upcoming beta that I personally am going to test as well. But yeah, pretty much that is how you connect to the beacon on the PS3. Jailbroken PS3, mind you, as already pointed out, you have to have a jailbroken PS3 to do that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This is how you patch LittleBigPlanet 1, 2 or 3 on PS3. Well, yeah, pretty much it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll hopefully see you on the next video. See ya!